This morning, we are just about back to normal after what's being called the largest IT outage in history.
Over the past 24 hours, every sector has been affected by this in some way, from your banks, hospitals, stock exchanges, train stations and airports. Everyone has been affected by this fault of an update that has happened via the Crowdstrike SaaS platform. To put it in perspective, Crowdstrike had an update on their Falcon platform which has led Microsoft 365 to essentially implode, causing a global headache around the world. In this video, we're going to be talking about the affected share prices and how and where there could be opportunity within this stock. We're also going to be talking about how tech could change moving forward due to its reliability on certain companies and my opinions and way of thinking around that. We're also going to be talking about the growth that is still there within the cybersecurity sector. CrowdStrike is a security and cloud company that essentially have built a SaaS product called Falcon, which is built to detect threats and stop breaches happening from hackers from the outside. Now, what has essentially happened, this runs off laptops, this runs off virtual screens, the Internet of Things, servers, you name it, anything to do with IT, this SaaS platform is attached to it in some sort of way. Now, what has happened is this needed a global update, and there has obviously been an error within this update affecting all Microsoft 365 products, causing this global output and causing Microsoft 365 to essentially fail, putting blue screens of death basically everywhere on these screens globally. Now, although problems will and most likely have been resolved quickly as of me recording this video, it just goes to show that the long-term reliability on certain companies and big tech is not great. You know, we can't rely on specific companies to do this, because if something larger was to happen and there's no backup in place, it does make you think that, you know, why was there no backup in place? You would have thought that there would be some sort of system or protocol if something was to happen, that there would be something to come in, another SaaS platform attached to the company to run so these things don't happen, even from Microsoft and as well from CrowdStrike's point of view. If something larger was to happen at scale affecting everything, then where would we go? So maybe these companies are going to start thinking to add a backup, because the long-term effect, even this small blip here, has definitely affected revenues of certain companies just by the screens going blue, as the companies can no longer function at their 100%, at their fullest. Now, before we get onto the charts, let's just have a look at CrowdStrike from a high level fundamental point of view. So just by having a look at my fundamental stock sheet, just as a high level overview, again, I'm not a financial advisor, it's just my opinion and the way I do things. So having a look at CrowdStrike, we can clearly see that this is a growth company. Just by having a look at the PE ratio, it is off the charts. So you are obviously going to pay a premium if you're going to look to hold and buy this stock for the long term. Now, that doesn't mean to say that there isn't opportunities shorter term, because there is. Now, again, looking at this from an earnings perspective, you're getting essentially less than half of what my predictions are. I think if you're looking to buy something for long term, you want to be buying something when you're getting at least over one amount of earnings per share. So from a long-term perspective, this doesn't personally meet my requirements. It's only, you know, hitting 4 out of the 7 requirements, and the last one, the payout ratio, is less than 75% because they don't give out a dividend. So looking at it from a short-term perspective, there is opportunities which we can obviously dive into at a later date, but on a high level overview, this is the way I'm currently marking up the stock right now from a fundamentals perspective. Let's just have a look at the cash, the earnings on stock unlock. Now, by looking at some of the cash flow trends, we can see that the net debt repayments have decreased pretty much, well, to zero at the time of recording this video from 2019, as well as the cash from operating activities have increased. So it is making a lot more cash, and it has a lot more surplus cash that's coming in from its day-to-day operations. Not only that, we can see that the operating and the net income are increasing, which will ultimately increase the profitability of the company as well. So although it doesn't hit my requirements at the moment, it doesn't mean that this company is not creating any value, because it certainly is. It's certainly a growth company and there is value to be made. It's just not something I'm personally looking to add to my portfolio for the long term at the moment. However, from a shorter term perspective, there could be some opportunities with that volatility in the market. Now, it's clear that the share price has been affected by the global outage. We can see that the stock price is down just over 37%. Now, I do believe that this is a short-term move to the downside before the stock could continue to potentially go up, because we've seen that they're actively trying to fix this problem, and I don't think it's something that will necessarily impact the company long term, because again, these problems, they can be resolved. There could be opportunities here within the market from a short term perspective. Now, this does make me think back to 2019 when we saw Tesla have a problem with the Cybertruck, when Elon Musk has thrown a brick at the window and it smashes. Let's just have a look at the share price of Tesla and how it could potentially compare. Looking at Tesla's share price back in 2019, when we saw Elon Musk throw that brick at the window and the window smashing, we saw the stock price essentially lose 10% in value very, very quickly. However, it later recovered and it went on the biggest bull run it's ever seen. Now, this is not me saying that Crowdstrike will do the same. It's just me showing an example of humans thinking in a short-term basis. We've seen this global outage already, but the people are already working on it, and it will most likely be fixed soon, and there'll be implications in place. I'd assume, I'd hope, but again, we'll see that coming out in the later news. Things like this will less likely happen again. So if that was the case, we would most likely see the share price rally back up to the upside. So just another example that we can see, and history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. But again, these are different stocks within different sectors, but it's always good to have a look at things that have happened in the past. Now, I do believe that there is still a lot of growth within the cybersecurity space, and Crowdstrike can still be at the forefront of that growth within the sector. However, it's definitely a wake-up call to these companies and our reliance on companies and everything being digitalized, and how cash is slowly being wiped out. There could still be an opportunity for cash. You know, if companies are not putting processes and backup plans in place, then we obviously need physical cash to carry on and make transactions. So it even makes you think beyond this whole cashless society thing, which I do think is great, but there is still growth to be made, definitely in other areas. Now look, I'd love to hear all your comments in the description down below, what you think of this situation, and if you think there is still value to be made within Crowdstrike. Thanks again for watching the video. Please subscribe and like, and again, I'll see you on the next one.